am Gary Parrish. Welcome back. CBS Sports Eye on College Basketball podcast, where we sometimes discuss camel fighting, dodo birds, leaky black. Matt Norlander is here with me. If you're watching on YouTube, be Brandon Davies. Smash the like button. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the CBS Sports Eye on College Basketball podcast. Please go do that wherever you subscribe to podcasts like Apple and Spotify. Let's get into it. I want to start at the tip top of the sport, where Michigan and Arizona both once again dominated the power conference opponent placed right in front of them. Michigan beat Maryland in Maryland 101-83. Arizona beat Alabama in Alabama 96-75. And while all of this was going on, I was sitting there paying attention to social media a little bit, and I saw Matt Norlander and our buddy Pat Forty going back and forth a little bit, wondering out loud, have we reached a point where it's Michigan, Arizona, or the field? I know you push back on that a little bit, but Pat posed it as a possibility. I respect the great Pat Forty. He's wonderful on NCAA conference calls. What do you make of what he suggested, and how close, if we're not there yet, how close are we to wondering, have those two teams separated from everybody else?
We're a ways away. Now, 40, I saw this. I was on the HQ desk on Saturday, and his exact verbiage was, I want to get this exactly as he sent it there, if I can find it in real time, because he tried to preface it before he sent it out there. History is littered with premature November-December college basketball pronouncements, but give me Michigan and Arizona, and I might give you the field. And then I said, okay, those two teams are loaded, but the field includes undefeated as of now Duke, undefeated as of now Iowa State, a UConn team that looks incredible, and its only loss is at home shorthanded to Arizona. You get BYU and Houston, a couple of one-loss teams that are national championship contenders. So we're going to focus in on the A block here a lot on Michigan and Arizona because these are the two teams that have claim to number one status. Arizona is going to hold on to number one in the AP Top 25 when that refreshes on Monday, and Michigan is still the number one team, not in every predictive metric. Shouts to the Massey ratings, which I only recently learned GP's even aware of. Massey does not have Michigan number one, doesn't even have Arizona number one. Massey has Duke at number one, but every other mainstream predictive metric has Michigan at number one. So those two have not. Michigan and Arizona have not separated from the rest of the field. In fact, one of my big takeaways on HQ on Saturday night was we have an extremely deep, overwhelmingly competent field of national championship contenders at this point. That's reflected in where they are in efficiency margins right now. The conversation for number one revolves around two teams, but it's just awesome stuff that we can. We're now 6 full weeks into the season, and from Arizona to Michigan, Duke was idle this weekend. Iowa State obviously played its most notable recent game against Iowa a few days back, but we saw what UConn did. We're going to get to a lot of these results as we move along with the show, GP. The class of team that is in the conversation as a national championship frontrunner, I think, is at least 9 deep at this point, and that is a deeper class right now, in my opinion, than we had a year ago when the SEC was incredible, and really in the past decade.
I agree with you on multiple points that you made. One, no, they haven't separated from the field. They are clearly the two teams, in my opinion, that should be under consideration for having a 1 next to their name in any sort of human ranking. But I don't know that they've separated from certainly the other 3 teams in the top 5, notably undefeated Duke, undefeated Iowa State, and 1-loss UConn. Frankly, I'm not sure that full-strength UConn's not the best team in the country. Like you mentioned, there's one computer that says Duke is the best team in the country, and Iowa State won at Purdue by 1 billion. So, yeah, I would take those 3 and like the other 360 and I'd roll with them. But undeniably, Michigan and Arizona are operating at an extremely high level, and they both had games unfold kind of similarly on Saturday. They were both down at the half and then just bombed them in the second half. Michigan was down 50-45, then outscored Maryland 56-33 in the second half to win by 18. Arizona was down 41-39 at the break, outscored Alabama 57-34. I mean, it's almost on the number in the second half to win by 21. Again, the games unfold pretty similarly, and the resumes, it all comes down to how you want to digest them. Like, I knew when I updated the top 25 and 1 this morning, I would get some pushback. I mean, we talked about it on Friday.
What you didn't want to have happened. And we say that like tongue firmly planted in cheek there, but Michigan gets the win. And we're going to talk about each of these games individually, which is overview on this. It gets the win, but it had some struggles early, and then it pulls away and gets 100+ points again. But then Arizona just goes out and puts Bama into the ground in the second half, and it's in Bama's backyard. It's a record. Our research team had 30+ years. Credit to ESPN Stats and Information, which brought it out. Arizona is the only team per ESPN Stats and Info to ever go 5 ranked victories in its first 9 games to start a season. Arizona has now done that. So for every Arizona fan that is really wanting to scream from the mountaintops, we get it. This is just amazing for college hoops right now that we have a discussion like this, and keep it coming, GP. But we haven't tended to say this on the show, but sometimes other pundits they get into this default mode where it's like, are there any great teams in college basketball this season? That is not on the table whatsoever. I really think we could have as many as 7 or 8 great teams this season. Where do you want to dive into first? You want to talk what Arizona did to Bama, or what Michigan did to what wound up being a shorthanded Maryland team?
Well, just to continue a thought, as I'm sitting there last night watching this unfold, it really did unfold terribly for me personally. And that is what I was most concerned with. There was a part of me that was like, okay, Maryland, I didn't think you had it in you, but not that I'm rooting against anybody, but it does make things easier. If Michigan loses and Arizona wins, nobody's fighting between those two teams after that. So I was like, okay, I'm not rooting against anybody, but if Michigan lost, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for my mentions. And, or if Arizona lost after Michigan wins, it wouldn't be the worst thing and just neither one of them happened the way I needed them to happen. So I'm left with trying to pick between undefeated teams that have incredibly impressive bodies of work, but very different bodies of work. One of them's got the best resume, like, hey, we've beaten more good teams than anybody else in the country. That is Arizona, although you can nitpick that a little bit. It is true they do have 5 wins over preseason top 25 teams, or 5 wins over teams that were ranked in the time the game was played. But UConn was down 2 starters in the game. I don't have Florida or UCLA ranked anymore.
Right.
So 2 of those 5 teams aren't ranked in the top 25 and 1 anymore, and UConn was down 2 starters. But let me be clear, I'm not here to nitpick anything. They're awesome. I'm just saying if you wanted to discount it a little bit, you could. That's still the best resume in the country, even when somebody like me decides to pick it apart. But then there's Michigan, and they don't have as many great wins, signature wins, but they beat Gonzaga and San Diego State by 40 on neutrals, beat Auburn by 30 on a neutral, beat Villanova by 28 at home, beat Maryland by 18 on the road. They're number 1 at KenPom, Bart Torvik, Evan Mia, Factor Sports. The net rating at KenPom right now is a point better than what Florida finished with last season, when Florida was 36-4 and your national champions. Right now, Michigan has a net rating better than that, which suggests on some level, if Michigan were on a neutral court against anybody today, including Arizona, they would be favored to win the game.
Yeah.
What that also suggests, and I'm not trying to get in the weeds here, but if this season's Michigan was on a neutral court with last season's Florida, the national champions, according to the numbers right now.
Well, that doesn't exactly line up. Every season is unique.
I got it, but you get my point.
It would be like a 1-point spread. Whatever.
It wouldn't be much.
Also keep in mind that because Michigan hasn't played a conference schedule yet, its efficiency should stand to be better than we're not guaranteed. It could continue to rise, but if it drifts just a little bit down once it has more consistent, difficult competition, keep that in mind as well. Yeah. But yes, Michigan would be the favorite team against any other team on a neutral floor right now. That's indisputable. And they are now, you had this in your top 25 and 1, and I didn't realize it was to this level. And this will almost certainly change. But as things stand right now, just to give you an idea of where, again, the predictive forecast have, Michigan is a comfortable favorite to win the national championship as we sit here on a Sunday night.
Yeah, at plus 450 to win the title right now, according to FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. After that, it is Arizona and Duke at plus 1,000. So there's Yeah, at plus 1,000. And then you've got Iowa State and UConn, I believe, at plus 1,100. So there's a pretty big gap between Michigan and everybody else. Like I wrote in the top 25 and one, that doesn't prove that Michigan is better than Arizona or anybody else. It's just data that we're referencing. But this is true. Michigan's the favorite to win the national championship right now. Michigan is number one in most computers right now. And if Michigan were on a neutral court against anybody right now, it would be the favorite. Does it mean they got to be number one? Like I wrote, hey, if you insist based on body of work, it should be Arizona. I'm not even arguing with you. I hear you. It's fine. But I can make the argument the other way as well. There's no wrong answer here. Somebody on Twitter suggested 1A, 1B. I don't do it like that, but it's fine with me. Arizona, Michigan should be 1-2 in every human poll at this point, in whatever order the human doing it wants it to be.
All right, let's dive into these games. We'll go with the Michigan-Maryland one. 101-83. Michigan streak of 6 consecutive games of 25-plus point margin ends, but guess what? They keep beating teams by 15-plus at this point, and Michigan outscored on the road Maryland 56-33 in the second half after going into the break trailing against the Terps. Now, Pharrell Payne got injured. He's the team's leading scorer, leads the team in rebounds, leads the teams in blocks, leads the team in field goal percentage. He's the most important player. He was on the floor. If he had never gotten injured, I still think Michigan wins. But instead of being 101-83, maybe it's 95-87. Who knows? It probably still would have been a Michigan win, but the margin actually does matter. You don't have your best guy on the floor. He goes out. How can that not impact you? When he went out, there was 4 and change to go in the first half. Maryland was up 1, I believe, and then that affected the game. Also affected another inbound really great performance from Yaxel Lendenborg. He went for this was, and credit to our research team on this, because this was one heck of a stat. His stat line in the game: 29 points, 9 assists, 8 boards, 3 blocks, 2 steals. He's number 2 right now behind Boozer for National Player of the Year, and what could develop into another really, really good race. We were treated to that a year ago with Flagg and Broom into the NCAA tournament. We'll see if it's those two or if we can get some more candidates in the weeks to come. But because Yaxel did what he did, 29, 9, 8 boards, 3 blocks, 2 steals. This is outrageous. Players with at least 28 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 blocks, and 2 steals in a game. In the past 30 years of men's Division I college basketball, Yaxel Lendenborg is responsible for 2 of the 5. Those 2 have come this season. 3 other players total have put that up in a game. He has done it twice in the first 6 weeks of this season. He's been awesome, and it was impressive to me to see Michigan get caught in a real fight. The Payne injury happens, but Maryland's still giving a push. And then if you watch the second half of that game, it was, again, Michigan going into complete takeover mode, cracking the century mark again, 4th time in 5 games, 5th time this season overall, to keep its margin ahead when it comes to its efficiency this season. Mighty, mighty impressive. Adai Mara continues to get better. They didn't even need a well-rounded overall team effort. Like, it's crazy to say, but it is true. Michigan put up 100 points on the road against a high major opponent this weekend, and I think it played like a B to a B+ level game. This was not their best effort. This is not Michigan at the peak of their powers. We've seen them be better. Really, really good stuff. What else from you on the Wolverines before we talk what Arizona did?
Well, just on Yaxel real quick, and then we'll move on. I was raised on the Metro, as you know, but I live in the American. So I've been watching Yaxel up close for years, and he's just a different player right now. He was always good. That's why Michigan gets into the transfer portal and pays millions of dollars to get him, right? He always had this, but he wasn't even the best player in the American last season, and now he's in the conversation for best player in America, and that's a testament to a lot of different things. I guess first and foremost, Yaxel, but to Dusty May and his staff. They identified him quickly, targeted him, prioritized him, and clearly has helped develop him into a player unlike any type of player he's been before, or at least he's an enhanced version of it, and he's undeniably one of the best players in the country.
Okay, what Arizona did late on Saturday, we go through it. It was a really, really enjoyable Saturday. Yet again, really nice matchups, and the day I think lived up to expectations. And by the time we get to this game, which got delayed because Indiana Kentucky went long, and so fortunately I was in the green room at HQ, so I was able to watch it from tip and all that. But if you're at home and most people watching, listening, and didn't want to go hunting for ESPN news, you might have missed the start of it. Well, it was competitive immediately there, but in the second half, Arizona enveloped Alabama. The offensive dominance with the glass element, GP, with Arizona was ridiculous. 22-3 in offensive rebounds for Arizona. They ultimately outscored Bama in second chance points 15-2. It's had immediate and blunt and expected comments afterward about how they just came out of the second half and just kicked them out of the game. They had matched their first half total, I think, in the first 11 minutes and change in the second half. Ultimately, Alabama was down better than 25% on rebounding overall. The exact margin, if you want to do rebound margin, is 52-32. Alabama averaged 95 a game going in, finished 20 points below its average there. I did ask you over under 52.1 3-point attempts in this game. We both took the over. It did hit 58. And also Arizona.
Thank God for Brayden Burries.
Well, that's right what I'm getting to right here. So Brayden Burries, this is almost every team in this top 10's got many reasons to feel like they've really got something special here. And with Arizona, it's the fact that you were able to do this and you didn't get Burries nearly at what you think he'd be for the first month of the season. Well, against Alabama, that's the game he picks to actually have his best game of the season so far. 28 points, 7 boards, had a couple of dimes, 5 of 10 from 3-point range. I jotted it down at the desk on Saturday. So, okay. Burries had 39 points in his first 5 games. He's had 79 in the past 4. And now he's in that 4-game stretch, 19.3 points, 5.5 rebounds. Really uplifting stuff. I mean, you didn't stop Phylon. He had another really nice game, but they didn't have nearly enough overall. And Burries doing what he did. Now we're hitting a point here with with Arizona, where it went 10 of 26 from 3-point range. It took 10 more in this game than it averages. Winds up hitting 39% from beyond the arc. And Krivas had some good moments. Koa Pete was silent, but he'll have huge games again. Arizona's just got a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Hey, by the way, you need us to step out and hit 10 threes against a top 15 level team and get it done and win by 21 points. We can do that as well. Super scary. This is college basketball's Voltron this season, I think, and that's for any child of the 80s listening or tuning in right now. My all-time favorite cartoon. They are incredible to this point. I am so very impressed, and I do think by nature, I know a week ago, this also speaks to how amazing the season has been so far. We've had the debate on who's the best resume, not always the best team, the best resume, and that has been changing with fluency. Arizona beating Alabama, to me, vaulted Zona ahead of Idle Duke for sure. Now, when you look at the strength of those 5 wins, they've got the best resume in the country. And Alabama, it was disappointing. I know we're leaning in a lot on the Wildcats, and we should here. Crimson Tide had an opportunity. Vanderbilt's yet to lose a game, but with wins over St. John's in Illinois, and they got the Clemson win. Getting one more real notable non-conference win could have been the statement to say we are the team to beat in the SEC. We are going to be the pride of the SEC this season. The SEC is obviously down. They couldn't do it. Bama becomes the 3rd SEC victim at the hands of Arizona, following Florida and Auburn.
To me, the story was Burries, obviously, and not that he scored 28 points, because that's not going to be normal, but he took 10 threes and he made half of them. And perhaps he won't take 10 and make half, but will he take 7 and make 40%? Because if so, that changes Arizona. I mean, we celebrated them early in the season for, what was it, their first big win? They took 2. They took 2 in the whole game.
Yeah, maybe they might have made 2. Let me.
It was something like it was something very low, like almost nothing.
You're right. They made 2 of 5 against Florida to beat the reigning champs on the opening night of the season.
Right, and now they got a guy who can make 5, take 10. So he made more than, you get the math. That's a that changes that creates space, all the normal basketball stuff that you know. Because though Arizona has proven it can be awesome playing mostly inside the arc, there is a chance in a single elimination tournament where you start trading 2s for 3s and you can get into trouble a little bit. And perhaps Burries is the type of guy that can help offset that a little bit. I'm not expecting him to go 5 of 10 from 3 every game, or perhaps not even any other game the rest of the season, but can he provide that threat from the perimeter consistently? He looks like he can. And if he can do that, then Arizona is even better than we thought 3 weeks ago. Let me, before we bounce to the next block, just close with this. Up next for Michigan, next Sunday against LaSalle. And then the Wolverines will not play another currently ranked team until Nebraska visits on January 27th. Up next for Arizona, Tuesday against Abilene Christian. And then the Wildcats won't play another currently ranked opponent until BYU on January 26th. So neither one of these teams is playing another ranked team until late January. And even the ranked teams haven't been able to mess around with these teams so far this season. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we could be sitting here for a little while with these two at 1 and 2.
We could. We can put a pin in this and circle back, maybe even before we get to 2025. We'll see. But there is a chance. I said this about Michigan specifically on HQ late Saturday, but it's true of Arizona as well. There is a healthy chance, not a great chance, just a healthy chance that Arizona and Michigan could still have 0 losses by the time we know who is playing. Not by the time the Super Bowl is played, by the time we know the teams that are going to face off in the Super Bowl.
Not the Chiefs. I know it's not going to be the Chiefs.
It's not going to be the Chiefs. I don't dare to believe, to even think about maybe the possibility that it might remotely be the Bears. I'm not getting there, trust me.
Well, if you keep getting to play the Browns every Sunday, it might work out for you.
I know. Well, Green Bay's
all you need is the Browns and a rookie quarterback, and I think you can handle this.
Yeah, no more bye games on the schedule for the Bears. Let me just tell you that right now. No more bye games. Anyway, the point is Arizona and Michigan, with the way the schedule sets up, it's college hoops. Weird stuff happens. It's not unthinkable that both of these teams could get to the 3rd or 4th week of January and still not having taken a loss. Again, we will talk more about that storyline once let's get a couple weeks down the road and really see what the scenery is in the sport before then.
Yeah, just last thing on Michigan, the number 1 team in the top 25 and 1. Right now, KenPom does not project them to be an underdog in any game the rest of the season. That means based on the current numbers, this is how far ahead they are of everybody. And by the way, I wouldn't even agree with this necessarily, but based on the current numbers, KenPom would project them as favorites at Purdue, at Michigan State, at Illinois, at Iowa. They don't have to go to Pinnacle Bank. They should thank the Big Ten schedule makers for that. But they do have to go into 4 insane places with top 25-ish teams, if not national championship contenders. And they are projected as favorites in every one of those right now, according to KenPom. Michigan operating at an extremely high level. Let's move on. Hey, we got an overtime thriller in Raleigh this weekend. Darryn Peterson could not complete the game, but buddy, Melvin Council could. He completed the hell out of it. Kansas get to win on the road in overtime. Melvin Council is a KU legend now. We'll get into it next. First, get a word from our partners.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.
Final score, Kansas 77, NC State 76 in OT. Darryn Peterson, the 5-star freshman, left the game late in the second half with what was described as hamstring tightness. He never returned. We'll get back to that in a second. First, special shouts, Melvin Council Jr. Took 27 shots, made 13 of them, finished with 36 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He was 9 of 15 from 3. And I don't know if you know this, but he's not even a shooter. I don't know where this came from. This doesn't make sense on any level. There's nothing about this that makes sense.
It's college hoops, baby. That's why I love it so much. You have guys pop up in unexpected spots to make big time performances, and Melvin Council absolutely qualifies. He is a 29% career 3-point shooter at the Division I level, and going into this game, he was 5 of 27 from 3. So at the big, coaching staffs with their teams, they go through practices, they do their video scouts, then they run through, they click through every player bio profile, all that stuff. I can't say for certain that NC State and Will Wade would have said non-shooter, but they were not highlighting him as a perimeter threat in this game. And he was 5 of 27 from beyond the arc this season going in, goes 9 of 15. Ironically, he was 1 of 4 from the foul line. His foul shooting actually kept NC State with a breath of hope near the end of this game. But that aside, he was brilliant. He was necessarily brilliant. I actually thought when you watch this game play out, I actually thought he left maybe 2 or 4 more points on the floor, not even free throw related in this one, but one of the 5, maybe one of the 3 best performances we've seen so far this season, and downright necessary in order for Kansas to get out of there and split the road trip to the Triangle. Remember, they lost against Carolina more than a month ago. Now they get the win here against NC State. And in doing so, Kansas avoids getting swept by the Triangle schools because, of course, KU also got dropped by Duke in the Champions Classic.
Yeah, I mean, he was, like you mentioned, 5 of 27 from 3 coming into the game, and then just goes bananas, 9 of 15. NC State had opportunities to win this. Darren Williams had 2 3-point attempts, like in the final seconds. He makes either one of them. Maybe we see Will Previtt again. You remember Will Previtt?
I do. Anyway, Google it, but I do remember. Do you think
I had to look up his name, but I had a good time last night. I was like, man, I want to watch that one more time. I was just sitting around watching. I was just watching court stormings last night.
I'm gonna say that was 2012 off the top of my head. What year
it was
that?
A while back. I hope he's doing okay. I guess I should have checked.
He probably should be. Council also had 7 boards, 4 dimes in this one. Kansas 7-0 versus unranked competition, 1-3 versus ranked teams this season. NC State 0 against power conference teams, 7-0 against mid majors this season. I did think one of those Williams shots actually was going to fall. I thought they were going to win it. And then just a random note here: Kansas, the first time it ever played,
they fell right on the floor.
I know,
right on the floor.
It would fall true. The first time these 2 teams ever played was in 1958. NC State won that, and a curse was put upon the program then and there. Kansas has won 14 in a row against NC State, including the win over the weekend. Just a quick thought on Will Wade's program. We'll see what this can be in year 1. I did think, and still leave open the possibility, that NC State is going to make the tournament in its first season under Will Wade. But as I alluded to on Friday when we previewed the show in the Final 4 and 1, the loser of this game was going to be at a little bit of an inflection point at this point of the non-conference schedule. So NC State is 7-4. It's got a home game this week against Texas Southern that it'll win, and then it's got a game next week against Ole Miss that kind of need to have. Like, they've beaten VCU, they've beaten Boise State. The VCU one's at home. Maybe that's a quad 2. It's a solid win, but it's not a seed line bump, as I like to say. And then the Boise State one on a neutral, we'll see what value that one has 2.5 months from now. There's gettable games in the ACC. There's good opportunities, but relative to the expectations going in, and certainly the excitement level, NC State fans are finding themselves just in a somewhat of a familiar spot. We thought we were going to have something good. Maybe we don't. Maybe you do. But I didn't think you'd be 7-4 by the time you got to mid-December. I honestly would have objectively said, I think that team can get to 8-3. You almost had the 8th win on Saturday. But again, the Williams shot, among some other things, just didn't fall through.
All right, let's talk Darryn Peterson.
Yep.
I felt like you probably picked up on this throughout the episodes in recent weeks when there was this panicky type of discussion around Darryn Peterson and is he just going to shut it down? I was like, no, he's got a hamstring injury. Whenever it's back to 100%, I assume he'll play, and that is what happened. But now here we are again. It's a re-aggravated hamstring. Said he felt tightness. I'm sure we'll get more updates next time Bill is in front of a microphone. But this is not good. This is, you rested it, you rehabbed it, you spent hours every day in the training room. You got yourself back to a place you thought you were good to go, and now you can't go. And he'd already missed 7 games. Kansas played 11. He's missed 7 of them. He could not finish one of those. Just schedule-wise, this is, if you got to have this is the place to do it. Towson and Davidson are the next 2 games. Big 12 play doesn't start till January 3rd. That's 3 weeks from yesterday. First 3 Big 12 games are UCF, TCU, West Virginia. Obviously nothing to give me in a league like that, but those are 3 of, unranked teams. Home against Iowa State on January 13th. That's a month away. Could he be ready for that? I don't know. I want to ask you a specific question. Just your thoughts on watching him clearly sit on the bench and discuss with a trainer like it's not right. I can't go back in, and now we're left in limbo again. And not just us. I mean, Kansas fans, this is their season. We're gonna, we're gonna have things to talk about no matter what. I say this all the time. It goes without saying, so maybe I should stop saying it. But in basketball, college, sometimes you only get one shot at these things. Like in the NBA, if Wemby goes down, it's like, man, that sucks. But he'll be back next year, and the Spurs will try to do it next year. You get one shot at this with Darryn Peterson. And it would be just awful if we look back on Bill Self's incredible Hall of Fame career and the 2 most talented dudes he ever had.
Good point.
Joel Embiid couldn't play in the NCAA tournament, and now here's Darryn Peterson, limited to just 4 games so far, and he's going to be stuck on 4 for a little while, it seems like.
I was thinking about someone else. I'll get to that in just a second. As to this injury, if you're a Kansas fan, I would just expect that he would not play against Towson or Davidson. You open the league on the road against UCF Saturday, January 3rd. Hope it can be that. That gives you essentially
3 weeks.
3 weeks to recover, and we don't even know the severity. Bill Self, which I don't blame him for this, as a Kansas fans watching and listening, I'm sure rightfully frustrated on it. The media would like more, but Bill Self goes to the post game after, says, I didn't talk to the trainer. Well, that you're going to get asked about Darryn, the potential number 1 pick in the draft. And you didn't poke your head in and just say, we got anything on DP? Now the way this works sometimes, I'm not saying that Bill handled it this way. The way this obviously works sometimes is that coaches, if they need to mitigate as much as they possibly can immediately in the moment after a game, they're just going to deflect, maybe even fib sometimes about what they do or don't know. But I couldn't help but chuckle when this happened, and Self was like, I didn't.
Well, there was the 1 year.
Talk to the trainer. I
can't
do it anymore.
John, I can't remember which Kentucky player was
all the time. This was a whole time with Cal. I haven't. Hey, what's the latest status update on your injured player? You know what? I haven't seen him. I haven't talked to him.
All the time.
Maddening.
I can't remember the player, but he'd be like, yeah, we just we got practice in an hour. Hadn't seen him yet. He would always never see somebody before he had to talk about them. So,
which is wild. Which, if you're around program, on a day-to-day,
it just defies logic. I'm
sitting to see each other all the time.
Yeah, I'm sitting at my house wondering what's going on with Darryn Peterson. It defies logic that you wouldn't be the head coach of Darryn Peterson and be like, hey, before I go talk to them. But it's just whatever. I don't care.
I know. So I hopefully he's going to be okay. I don't know if it was more he got spooked versus I really feel something versus the trainer being like, whoa, we went over this, every single week. You tell us you got something, we're not going to chance it. The interesting part about it is it happened in the midst of an important game against a good opponent,
right,
when we now know they truly didn't need him, but you think they don't have him on the floor, they're probably losing this game. Now, Kansas, big picture, I think Kansas has done really well for itself without Darryn Peterson. The fact that it is able to maintain a pretty good record, all things considered, is a testament to Self and that staff. I remember talking to Self about Council this past summer because I didn't know a ton about him. He played at Bonaventure, obviously, and Self's words to me were something along the lines of no, I really like the way that he plays, and I really think he's got a shot to be a real kind of guy for us. And I said, really? Okay, good deal. And at that point, we'll kind of wait and see. He couldn't have possibly imagined Council would have had the game he had here, but you needed it. He was the exact right guy at the exact right time. As for Peterson, I hope this isn't Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, and there are a couple parallels here. Blue blood, point guard, Irving, number 1 pick. Peterson could be. Irving had the toe issue. His game log, for those who are too young to remember it, or it's been too long that you've forgotten it, Kyrie Irving played essentially every game up until game 8. He got hurt, coincidentally enough, in a Duke game against Butler. He returned in March, but he only logged 11 career college games. That Duke team, its best player wound up being Nolan Smith. That Duke team was better than this Kansas team, went 32-5, got a 1 seed, bumped out of the tournament that year by Arizona. If you're a bit of a historian, you'll remember that was that really like interesting, strong Arizona team. But Derek Williams just was a beast that season as a second-year player. But we never got to experience really the Kyrie Irving magnificence that he had as a point guard. And in some ways, like Kyrie Irving's reputation and what he was going into college, there are some parallels in terms of Darryn Peterson, playmaker, projected potential #1 pick in a really solid high school class. And now we just kind of wait and see. So we don't have to belabor this conversation. We're obviously going to talk about it again as we get more updates with Peterson, but it is a worrisome sign. And hopefully this can be something that they can rehab and it never surfaces again. But that the fact that it has happened so soon after, and after they took all this care, you know, he puts out this video about how much he's dying to play. He wants to play. He would never, you know, skip out on a game if it wasn't something that was seriously affecting his health and well-being, all that. And then he comes up limp, like 2 and change to go in the game, folks. Not good. We wait and see on any significant update. Personally, I'm not expecting anything of real value this week other than for them to announce that he will not play against Towson. Obviously, I hope it's not anything remotely worse than that. I want to have an amazing season and see as many of these future lottery picks on the floor as possible. So hopefully, at the very latest, we see Peterson back on the floor on January 3rd in the Big 12 opener at UCF.
And I know I've already seen it out there, so it's going to exist and probably enhance over time. Like people speculating about whether now's the time Darryn Peterson shuts it down. You don't need to shut down a hamstring injury in December to prepare for a draft in June. All right.
Correct. And if you care about going #1, I actually think it will affect whether you do go #1 or not, personally, given how good the talent is and the other players that could pass you if they're playing and exceeding the likes of Boozer, Demanson, and anyone else.
I know that the majority of NBA front office executives would like to see Darryn Peterson play college basketball. They're not out there hoping he shuts it down. You do not have to. It is funny. The people who are out there, like, according to sources, it's always people who never break news. You never, ever see them actually break anything. They're always just, according to sources, this is thinking about something might happen. They never. So like when you click on these stories, maybe it's a public service announcement. When you click on these Twitter accounts and you see people recklessly speculating on things, unless you can name 5 stories they've actually broken in their lives, just move on. All right. If Darryn Peterson gets shut down, I can name you the 3 people. There are 3 people in this world. One of them will probably break it, and it won't be the people who are out there speculating about it right now. So I don't know what he's going to do, but what the only sensible thing to do is everything you were doing before: rest, rehab. And when you get back to where you think you're ready to go, then try it again. There could be a point where this just never works out, because it just lingers all season. But the idea that you would work like crazy to come back for a game on December 13th, feel something tighten up and say, well, that's it, I'll see y'all later. That doesn't make any sense. Hopefully this rehab goes better than the last one. As always, we'll see. It's time for the weekend whip around. We're going to do that next. We're starting on Nebraska.
Yes, we are.
Undefeated Nebraska. First, let's get another word from our partners.
You can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. So even if you can't count on accurate expiration dates,
that is a rookie mistake,
or people appreciating your fashion sense,
Jim, the crowd is not on board here.
you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
Glad we wear our good jerseys.
Yeah. Final score: Nebraska 83, Illinois 80. Jamarcus Lawrence, a boomerang transfer, buried a 3 with less than a second remaining to break a tie and push the Huskers to 11-0. Josh, I hope I sent it to you. I intended to. If you've got it, let's relive it together.
Here we gotta go. Down to 5. Hoiberg kicks it out. Lawrence for the win. Got it! And you can tell it was good, right?
So that's the television call. The Nebraska radio call was a classic.
You know what? I was almost grabbed. We don't have it, do we? We don't have the radio call.
I don't.
That
think
was.
My dude said, "I'm gonna pass out."
I think I might pass out. Oh man, I wish I had the radio call.
Hey, I turned on CBS Sports HQ yesterday. I just wanted to see what you were up to. So I'm turning on CBS Sports HQ. Nebraska upsets Illinois.
Yeah.
All right. Jamarcus Lawrence, my favorite boomerang transfer, with
Yep.
the 3 in the final second. And I'm like, okay, let's see what Norlander, because I tried to talk to Norlander about Nebraska middle of the week. And I was like, let's see. And you were like, Nebraska's got a chance to win a game in the end. I said, I took 5 minutes trying to get you to say this shit 2 days ago. 2 days ago.
Over Illinois. The situation and circumstances have changed. And I didn't say they would. I said they've got a chance. I didn't actually change at all. I said they've got a chance. Now, there might have been more enthusiasm in my voice.
You sounded so enthusiastic on HQ. You sitting there talking with Hakeem Dermish. You were so excited talking to Hakeem. And I was like, why didn't he get this excited about Nebraska when I tried to talk to him about Nebraska? I tried to get you excited about Nebraska like 4 days ago.
I'm excited.
Okay, good.
I'm not as excited as Nebraska fans, but I am. This is top 3 story in the sport right now. If you want to make it number 1, I won't argue with you. 11-0 for the first time in school history, 15 in a row dating back to last season. The longest win streak in the history of Nebraska's men's basketball program is happening right now. They're going to bump up even higher in the AP rankings when they refresh on Monday and have one of their better rankings in that poll in recent memory. They have defeated Illinois 2 times in a row for the first time ever. Nebraska has done that. I was on my drive into the studio in the first half of this game, so I did not know or realize in real time that Price Sanford was outscoring Illinois for the first half, which wound up being rather important in the bigger picture of the game. But overall, with what Nebraska did, and the help they got, the way that they are built, Rink Mass is a real dude. I mean, he's a really, really good player. Lawrence hits the 3. Sam Hoiberg's a genuinely important player on this roster. Like senior, yes, coach's son, might be 6 feet tall standing on a magazine flat, but they've got a really solid, strong starting 5. And to go in to Illinois, which is I think I said it on HQ, I do think that Illinois has the talent and the length and the shooting to be a team that if it gets the right draw, you could see Illinois playing in Indianapolis. I'm not saying it's one of the 10 most likely teams, but it definitely has enough there. Nebraska went into their house and they pulled off the win, and the way that play unfolded, and then for Lawrence to cash the 3, good on you guys. Good on Nebraska. Good on Nebraska fans. Every season, there are just a few teams, whether it's in November or it really takes until December until we start to notice feel-good stories. Nebraska is a really feel-good story. I mean, how could it not be? Fred Hoiberg is about as unassuming as a coach as you'll find at the high major level. Even the white polo that he was like, it looked like he was getting ready to go squeeze in 9 before the sunset. And, all current weather aside, just really, really cool. Really happy for him. Huskers fans, good on you. Just bask in this. And I do genuinely think, I thought this win actually signaled something bigger, because you've gotten wins over, Oklahoma, Creighton, we'll get to them before we get out of here. Wisconsin, that's a good home win. But now, the losses will come, but I do think Nebraska's going to make the NCAA tournament. I think they're going to have enough. I think they're balanced enough on both ends. I think they're actually pretty good with the ball on the offensive end, and they aren't too reckless. They've only made the tournament once under Hoiberg. It was a couple of years ago. They didn't win a tournament game, obviously, there. I think they get there, and what seed, I can't tell you. I don't know, but I think they're going to have enough, and they're going to finish in the top half of that league. And, yeah, awesome story through the first 6 weeks of the season.
Let's try this again. Let's try it one more time. Is Nebraska going to win a game for the first time in program history in the 2026 NCAA tournament?
I don't know. I want to believe yes.
I don't know how much you know about
fickle beast. It's a fickle beast.
I don't know how much you know about podcast, but you don't actually have to know anything.
I know, but I keep some
clip it.
I have a modicum. I'm not gonna be just tossing out hot takes left and right. And now I gotta be authentic. I gotta tell you what I believe and what I feel. What I feel is that Nebraska losing another NCAA tournament game this season would not shock me in the slightest given the nature of that tournament, but I would love to see Nebraska get a win. Can I inject real quick? Josh has actually pulled the radio audio. So for anyone who is not, and I don't know, Josh, just message us here in our side chat. How long is this radio call so I can at least prepare? We're looking at a 10-second call. We're looking at a 30-second call. He says 19 seconds. All right. Let's play it. This is the radio call from the Nebraska radio network after they got it done in Champaign on Saturday.
Along the baseline, except for Sam out into the timeline. 5 seconds to go. Sam drives the ball, kicks it. It is Lawrence, puts it up. God! 2 seconds to go. Inbounds play. I'm going to pass out. The game is over. Nebraska wins it.
That is Kent Pavelka on the call there.
I know he's been there he's been there like 4 decades, so you can do the math on that. But that sound, and I say this as a total compliment, it was a perfect radio call, if only, or at least in part, because it sounded like it was from a different time. Didn't it sound like that was a clip from 1978? Did it sound like that to you?
It sounded like an exorcism. Yes, that, but it also sounded like an exorcism, and it sounded like it was pain transitioning to pure pleasure. Just beautiful stuff. I love it. Okay.
Calm it down a little bit.
You didn't hear the way he started that?
I don't know, man. You starting to sound
a little bit tapping the leg.
I heard it, but you starting to sound a little bit like Sharon Moore to me. You need to calm it down a little bit.
Take it easy over there, okay? Take it easy.
They said this man was texting with OnlyFans models in the middle of a game. And I want to be clear. I don't have any idea if it's true. I just know that's what they said.
What else you got on the Cornhuskers?
I need to set the record straight. I need to correct the record.
Okay.
I've made a mistake.
Oh, I mean, you don't need this is every show, but go ahead.
I know, but I've got to stop trusting AI. I'm telling you, I'm confessing to you.
Okay.
I've become too reliant on AI. I just type something into my computer and whatever it tells me, How
about this? How about the man who coined the term computer tricker?
Yeah.
Has been tricked by the computers. How about that?
Like if this is going to be the way the rest of my life is going to unfold, I don't know how much time I got left. I just type things into my computer and it spits it right back out to me in seconds. And I'm like, well, it must be true. It says it's the smartest thing in the world. And so on Friday's pod, as I was explaining to you how awesome Nebraska is, I said, can they get the best seed they've ever had in the NCAA tournament? Best seed they ever had, by the way, is just a 6 seed. And I almost didn't say it because it popped into my head. I really didn't look this up as much as I just punched it into AI.
Really just deepening the connection and trust between us and our audience right now. Thank you.
So multiple Nebraska fans were very eager to tell me that Nebraska once did get a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. And so I decided to go actually look that up and confirm it. What's funny is one of the people who told me, they were like, it was in 1990. I went to the 1990 tournament. Nebraska ain't in that nowhere. So even you were wrong, buddy, trying to correct me. It was 1991. The great Danny Nee led Nebraska to the NCAA tournament. They got a 3 seed. Oh, it was set up. But guess who got in their way? Pete Gillen and the Xavier Musketeers. Pete Gillen and the Xavier Musketeers knocked him out of the tournament. So Nebraska did not get its first win in the tournament then, still hasn't got one. Oddly, Danny Nee does have a NCAA tournament win.
Don't ask me with who. I could not begin to tell you.
Oh, don't worry. I got it, as long as AI got it. Ohio in 1983. Okay. So Danny Nee has won a tournament in the game, but couldn't get it done as a 3 seed at Nebraska. That's tough. Obviously, Barry Collier did not get it done. Doc Sadler did not get it done.
Of course.
And the great Tim Miles did not get it done. Yeah. But, hey, I'll say it. I'm going to look right into the camera and say it. March 2026, that is when Nebraska wins a game in the NCAA tournament for the first time in program history.
I can't wait to be there. I really want to see it. Let's keep it moving here. This is a whip around after all.
Just real quick on one last thing on this. Did you see the Brad Underwood press conference? He benched David Markovich and then I did.
Yeah. I mean, I like that Underwood. Underwood is among the coaches that just really has no issue giving you no BS and a presser, win, lose, or draw.
Yeah.
You don't draw in college basketball. And I appreciated what he said.
I did too. I saw some people saying, do you really talk like that about one of your players, man? All these guys are making money. They're all de facto professionals now. They're all also adults. That's one of my pet peeves. Talking to kids like that, they're not kids. These are grown men making more money than most people watching this right now. I have no issue with it. Now, you got to figure out, how does your player respond to that? How does your locker room respond to that? But that's a coach player thing. Ain't got nothing to do with me. I have no issue with Brad Underwood doing what he did or saying what he said. You want to go next to Arkansas, Texas Tech?
That first obviously notable game is Saturday. Arkansas wins 93-86. Hogs are 8-2. Arkansas had 3 players with 20 points in a ranked. So for the first time in 20 years, Arkansas had 3 guys hit 20 points against a ranked team in a win. Impressive. Trevon Brazile, 24 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks. He had a pump fake on a 3, then went for a dunk, put him up 5. There might have been more than 4 minutes left in the game, but when that play happened after coming out of the stoppage, I thought, this is Arkansas's game. And indeed it was. Carter Knox, 3 or 4 from beyond the arc. He had 20. Darius Acuff had 20, had himself a nice game as well. Texas Tech is 0-3 this season against ranked teams, is undefeated against unranked competition. JT Toppin and Christian Anderson combined for 56. And they looked really good, and it was a really enjoyable game. This is a wonderful way to get Saturday rolling. Quite obviously, when you're playing a top 20 team, maybe on some nights those two are going to be literally great enough to carry you. Wasn't here, not then. Brazile with, I think, maybe he's had some nice moments here and there. This was probably the best game he's had in an Arkansas uniform. Really nice win for John Calabrese team.
Brazile, you remember, towards ACL December 2022. Mm-hmm. And has just never, usually ACL is like you could bounce back the next year, and if not the next year, certainly the next one. And he just didn't. He was not the same player for 2 subsequent years after the torn ACL. But right now he's career high 13.9 points, 7.4 rebounds. And the Razorbacks are winners of 3 straight since getting Cameron Boozard on Thanksgiving. So just something I noticed as I was filing the top 25 and 1 this morning. I made a note of it. I didn't get your opinion on it. I didn't pick Arkansas to win the SEC. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if you asked me right now, I would pick Arkansas to win the SEC. But in the top 25 and 1, Arkansas is currently the highest rated SEC team. Are we in a situation where John Calipari could win a title in year 2 at Arkansas?
We are in that situation. Vanderbilt is yet to play a top 30 opponent, so we have to wait and see on that. It could well be Vandy. I'm putting that out that's a distinct possibility. The SEC looks like it's wide open. Between Vandy, Bama just feels like a team that's going to be able to rattle off like 5 impressive wins in a row. Could take a couple losses. We've seen what done there. We'll get to you, Kentucky, before we get out of here. Florida, I'm not going to give up on the Gators' chances there. I think that Florida has probably played its worst ball of the season, honestly. So it feels wide open. There's even a couple more teams in there that could be factors, but Arkansas is in the thick of it as anyone. There's someone in our chat right now that says Arkansas is the best team in the SEC. Could well prove to be true. They obviously have the talent to do so. I thought that was a very important morale, not even a morale boosting win, just an important win for Arkansas, especially after the bumpiness to start Cal's first season. They've avoided that for the most part here and seem to be well positioned as we get ready to flip into league play in January.
Any concerns about Texas Tech? Now 7-3. They got wins over Wake, LSU, losses to Illinois, Purdue, Arkansas. So nothing embarrassing there. But JT Toppin has been great.
He has.
He's averaging like 22 and 11. Statistically, he's a better player than he was last season when he was the Big 12 Player of the Year and a consensus All-American. But the team doesn't look as good. And it might be a thing. I mean, first off, they're just injured. They're banged up and they got limited numbers and blah, 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 blah. But also the blueprint here was kind of pay Toppin, get him back, bring back Christian Anderson, now get pieces to put around them while Darian Williams goes to NC State. And so far the pieces around them, I don't want to say they're not good enough, but they Texas Tech is down to 36th if you remove preseason bias at barttorvik.com, just below Seton Hall. And this was a team that a lot of people had preseason top 10.
We can keep it moving. I'll put a pin in that. They have Duke next weekend at the Garden. So let's see what plays out with that. We'll obviously have that in the Final Four 1 on Friday. But let's just see what they have with one more big notable opponent, and that could be Toppin Boozer. Could be an amazing matchup and battle. Let's keep it moving, though. Gonzaga beat UCLA late Saturday. I did stay up till the end of this. Drove drove home in the first half, got to watch all the second half here. Gonzaga pulls away. They won. They've beaten UCLA 5 of the past 6 times these teams have met. UCLA has lost 10 games in a row on neutral sites. The last time UCLA versus top 10 teams, I should say. The last time UCLA beat a top 10 team on a neutral site, the bubble tournament against then 1 seed Michigan in 2021. Gonzaga, I alluded to this at the top of the show, but for all the things that Arizona and Michigan fans have to hang their hat on. Iowa State has the best win of the season at Purdue. UConn only has its 1 loss when it wasn't at full strength. Duke has the player of the year front runner, maybe the best player in the sport right now. Gonzaga has the one glaring wart against Michigan, but it has something no one else has. It has 8 games against high majors so far, and it only has 1 loss to this point. It gets it done again against UCLA. It's 4-1 against ranked competition specifically this season. And then something that I think is actually an important development for Gonzaga and its viability in the upper echelon of the sport. Brayden Huff has had 20 points in 3 consecutive games. That's never happened in his career, and they've come against some viable teams in this stretch here. I'm not surprised Gonzaga won. I picked them to win. I think I picked them to cover. I'm not sure if they did or whatever. We'll deal with that on Friday's Final Four and 1. But this was kind of a game that, for the most part, kind of played out the way that I thought that it would. And here's Gonzaga. And I know UConn, rightfully so, is getting a ton of run as right there with all the undefeated teams. Gonzaga's in that class too. I know it got dismembered by Michigan. I was there. I saw it. But right now, Gonzaga at KenPom is the 2nd team in the country. Yes, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just telling you that's what that metric has. Iowa State is 3. Duke is 4. Arizona is 5. Purdue is 6. UConn is 7. Gonzaga only trails Michigan in efficiency margin at this point. Your thoughts on either end of that outcome late Saturday in Seattle?
Josh put in the chat the number we used on UCLA Gonzaga was 10. So that's going to be our first push of the season, no matter which way you had it. I went on HQ Saturday afternoon to preview some of the night stuff and was asked about Gonzaga UCLA, specifically about the Zags. And, it's sort of a buzzy word in college basketball now, but continuity is a real thing. Graham Ike and Brayden Huff, they combined for 46 points last night against UCLA, and they're both in their 3rd years in the program at a time where some players barely last 1 year in a program. So shouldn't be a surprise. Mark has had the Zags operating at the top, or at least near the top of the sport, for quite literally decades now. And here they are again. UCLA, I know they're ranked right now, but I don't have them in the top 25 and 1. They're 7-3. They've got a loss to Cal. Their best win is at Washington. There's not a lot of substance to the record right now. Donovan Dent, if we were wondering, how's that going to translate to the, I don't want to say that. It sounds disrespectful to New Mexico to act like he was just playing at, East Carolina or something. And I know that sounds disrespectful to East Carolina. So I apologize to everybody. But so far, he has not been as good at UCLA as he was at New Mexico. And, that's among the reasons maybe UCLA is sitting here at 7-3 instead of with something of a somewhat of a better record. Let's go. Purdue 79, Marquette 59. Another blowout victory for the Boilermakers. Oscar Clough, big transfer portal addition. Matt Painter is a little bit like Pat Kelsey. And I think also Dusty May, in the sense that they seem to be very intentional in the transfer portal, not going out and just trying to get, the most talented players they could find, but people who fill very specific roles, not just positions, but roles. Like, okay, he's a big, but does he rim protect or does he rebound? It'd be great if he does both, but we got rim protection. We need a rebounder. Let's grab Oscar Clough then. 9 of 9 from the field in the game, 22 points, 11 rebounds. He's been a terrific pickup for them. And then I think the story on the other side is just, this is bad. 5-6 and down to 99th at KenPom. This is not the Marquette program we've grown used to watching under Shaka Smart. We had talked about this approach to the transfer portal, in recent years. And my opinion on it was always it'll work until it doesn't. But eventually you will get caught. And it looks like they've got caught here with a roster that maybe just isn't good enough. I mentioned the 99 at KenPom. Trivia time. When's the last time Marquette was this low at KenPom?
Well, this is the worst start to a season in 35 years for Marquette. So the last time they finished 99 or worse, is that your question?
No, because they didn't even finish 99th in this season. They were just at one point in the season they were below 99.
Did they get Wojo's last year? Were they that bad? Is that
It was March 10th, on the morning of March 10th, 2016. So Wojo was the coach.
But
it
that
wasn't
was not last season. Oh,
no,
so
this was very early, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's March 10th, 2016. On that morning, Marquette was 100 at KenPom. Finished the season 97th with an 8-10 record in the Big East, but right now 99th. So this is the lowest they've been since I'll just keep it simple. This is the lowest Marquette's been in that computer since March 10th, 2016. And I guess it could get better because the bottom of the Big East maybe isn't that strong, but this is a Marquette team that's got a lot of remaking to do in the offseason, it looks like.
By the way, Clough 22-11 and didn't miss a shot. Didn't miss a foul shot. Didn't miss a shot from the field. I don't know how many games there'll be in March, but he's going to have just the way that he plays and how they will use. Like, he is going to be responsible at least once, if not multiple times, when the lights are brightest for getting Purdue some big wins. Real quick on Louisville, it destroys Memphis. There's not a lot here, honestly. Like, you're wearing your Metro shirt as you should. This is not the jab. I'm opening up to you. Should Memphis be banned from the Final Four and 1 for the rest of the season? Should a ban be on the table for your Tigers? They did not show up. They didn't wear the right uniforms. It wasn't competitive. Honestly, some teams took some losses this weekend where it's kind of like, I don't know about that. The most disappointing one was, and I'm not surprised by it, but no pride, no competition, no Freedom Hall, no Memphis State on the unis. Pat Kelsey gets it done. Louisville right there with teams we mentioned on top of the show. Should Memphis be off the Final Four and 1? I don't even know if they'll have the game worth picking, to be honest.
Well, that's we're about to be done with them anyway, right? Because they're going to stop playing other good teams. They're going to stop playing good teams. And so then it'll just be a mediocre Memphis team playing a bunch of American teams. So we're done. If you need to hear some Memphis talk, we're going to have to circle back to Keith Lee and Elliot Perry, because there ain't nothing going on with this team that's going to be worthy of our time. It's bad. It's bad. Now, like Louisville's going to bomb people like that. 18 of 35 from 3. Okay. So good luck. Louisville shot 56% from the field, 51% from 3, 84% from the free throw line. So yeah, that was, we don't have to spend any more time. We've talked about this enough. Memphis just isn't very good.
Yeah.
They're going to have to make unless this gets better, they're going to have to make some hard decisions at the end of the season about their most beloved alum in school history. Like this, none of that stuff's fun. I will say the saving grace here is that there's still a scenario, if you're a Memphis fan, where you just get into your league, you're just better than everybody else in your league, and you can still make the NCAA tournament. And then who knows? You played Purdue tight for 33 minutes a couple of weeks ago. But I will say, Tulsa, a team I saw at the Veterans Classic at the Naval Academy first week of the season, and they looked good. And I think I told you, man, Tulsa looks pretty good. They're now up to, I think, 73 at KenPom, which is first in the American. Tulsa would actually be considered, at least according to that metric, the favorite in the American at this point. So once upon a time, it was like, well, you see at Memphis how they can do in the non-league schedule. And then however that goes, they should still win their league. They were picked to win their league. Now they're not, or at least they're not ranked first in their league, according to KenPom. So yeah, things are getting dicey. I wish they'd have wore the Memphis State jerseys. At least that'd have been fun to look at for a little while.
Let's stick in the Commonwealth. Kentucky wins 72-60 over Indiana. In the process, I actually did ask our research team to look this up, and it did not come to be. But if Gonzaga is technically it's not a team that's in a power conference, so it's essentially the same thing. But as a technicality, Kentucky did avoid starting 0-4 against power conference teams for the first time essentially ever. They looked back 100 years, and Kentucky had never started 0-4 against what would be considered in its respective era power conference teams. Prior to that, so many teams were independent, you can't really do it. So they dodged that, non-COVID specifically. Oh, by the way, with that, Kentucky outscored Indiana 40-21 in the second half. It was able to force 18 turnovers for the Hoosiers. It was a very impressive performance by Kentucky because of Jalen Lowe. You watch this game from start to finish. To me, and Diabate was a huge factor as well. no question about it. But if Lowe is really if he's feeling better with that shoulder, it's interesting. It almost feels like they gave the same one that Lamont Butler was wearing a year ago. And was like, okay, it's your turn to wear this, buddy. If he can continue to get better, he is the difference, I think, for Kentucky's ceiling. So it's just Indiana. We don't even know if Indiana will be an NCAA tournament team. Indiana's, it's bumpy now. Lost 3 of 4. I get all that, but it would have been a cataclysm if you lost the game, Kentucky, and you know it. So you dodged that. Now you get a week to prepare for St. John's in Atlanta. We'll talk about that later this week on the show. But at the very least, you got this win. It's not even that you got the win. I actually thought the style in which you got it and how you ran away in the second half, I thought that was impressive. You held Indiana at 60. That's the fewest it had in a game so far this season. And between Lowe and Diabate, I saw some really good stuff. Garrison had I think he had the oop that was just nasty stuff there. Good job out of Kentucky. Quick thoughts on the Wildcats?
Nobody had a better quality of life win this weekend than Mark Pope. Winning, beating Alabama in Birmingham, bigger win, sure, but nobody needed a victory to just change the narrative more than Mark Pope and just Kentucky in general, but specifically Mark. This weekend, over a rival, over a blue blood. And I mean, I've got Kentucky back in the top 25 and 1 this morning at 26. It's funny. Try to find 26 teams. It's tough.
I don't know. You just say you got them, and I'm thinking like, really? Okay.
Well, here would be the argument. They now have a notable win over a top 30.
Only one.
Okay, but like there's some teams that have none. There's some teams that have none of those. And the losses, I know there's 4 of them, but they're to Louisville, Michigan State, North Carolina, Gonzaga. Those are all teams in the top 15 of the top 25 and 1. So if you haven't lost anybody outside of the top 15, you got to win over a top 30. You've got
you got LSU in there?
I took LSU out. They just lost.
No. But they just won. They beat one-loss SMU over the weekend. Like, I'm just wondering.
They lost to Texas Tech. LSU would be the exact type of team like Kentucky that I could put in. I had LSU in. I had LSU in when it was undefeated. Then it lost to Texas Tech bad, I believe. And then, so I got them out. And then, so I got LSU out. This is funny how this all works. I put in SMU.
Okay, they lost.
And then SMU loses to LSU.
Right.
And that's where I take out SMU and replace them with Kentucky. But Kentucky, LSU are similar in the sense that they don't have great wins, but the loss is not anything to be embarrassed about.
What about Georgia? You got Georgia in there? I'd have Georgia ahead of Kentucky right now. They're 9-1. They just beat Cincinnati. I guess they don't have a win. They don't have a win as good as Indiana, but they also only have one loss.
Yeah, they don't have. I know, but the loss is to Clemson.
They also, by the way, they rate ahead of Kentucky. In non-predictive, they read ahead. Whatever. We don't have to focus in on that. You said they were ranked. It threw me because I didn't expect that.
I know, but my larger point was this is how quickly things can change. Like, it's like, oh my God, what's wrong with Kentucky? And it's like, oh, they just beat Indiana, and now they're probably a top 30 team in the country. I know they want to be top 10, not top 30, but I don't know that anybody needed a victory to just calm things down as much as Kentucky needed one this weekend. They're 26 in the top 25 and 1, whether you like it or not.
It's fine. It's whatever. Good physicality. They got Indiana into foul trouble. Wilkerson just had like the best game of his life. And then they even shut him down to a degree. They didn't get more than 5 3-pointers off tempo-wise. He didn't make 5. That was a good job out of them. In the SEC, Georgia is 9-1. Good on them. Cincinnati, West Miller seed is scorching hot. They couldn't get the win in Atlanta. And LSU is 9-1 as well. So just wanted to acknowledge a couple of one-loss teams in the SEC. We can wrap up in short order here. Friday night, UConn wins 71-63. They're 10-1. I would say it was a business-like victory in Hartford there. No surprise, obviously. And Caravan had himself some nice moments. UConn fans, I know you are basking in just the quality of your team, as you should. They look really, really strong. There's just not a lot of takeaways off them. We talked about the Huskies plenty last week. Stick it in the Big East, though. Creighton loses at home to K-State. I don't know what to make of K-State. I need like another 9 games minimum before I know what the hell to think about Jerome Tane's program. Creighton has lost 5 games in its first 10 for the first time since 2009-10. Dana Altman was coaching the team then. They were in the Missouri Valley then. I wonder if this is Greg McDermott's last season. I'm sure he has no idea if it will or won't be, but is it reaching a point where he does not want to go out like this? Sometimes you don't have a say in that in terms of like, as much as you don't want something to be, athletes deal with this all the time when they're debating on.
Travis Kelce's a great example.
Kelce's a good, but then again, literally as we record this podcast, Phillip Rivers is on my damn screen playing my age for the Indianapolis Colts. So maybe you do have a say every so often there. But Creighton's not looking it's not looking so good right now. And then Butler, Providence, two teams of varying quality, I suppose. Whatever. 113-110, double overtime. Although, Josh, you can flip on your mic. Josh knows his Bulldogs well. I think we have a season-ending injury, so get ready to just chime in on that. I think that's broken since we started doing the pod here. It was the second highest combined point total ever in a Big East game, what we saw Saturday at Hinkle. The only one that was more was back in 2002. Notre Dame and Georgetown played a 4-overtime game, 116-111. So how about this? This was a 2-overtime game with 223 points. They needed 4 free sessions in 2002 to actually set the record there. It was the 8th time 2 teams scored 100 in a Big East game, period. Jason Edwards had 32 for Providence. Jalen Sellers had 26. Michael Ajayi had 28 and 15 boards. Finley Bizjack had 26 points. 12 of those points came in the overtime session. Our producer, Josh, is a BU alum. Floor is yours. Any quick thoughts on your Dogs getting the win? And then do we have what is the context and update of this injury situation with Thad Matta's team?
Yeah, it was a blast on Saturday afternoon for lots of reasons. But yeah, since 3:48 this afternoon, so just before we went live, Jalen Jackson, who transferred from Purdue Fort Wayne, was really good there a year ago and had been excellent for Butler so far this season. Dealt with an ankle injury during the summer, and after playing the first six or 7 games of the season has been in and out of the lineup, and announced that he won't be playing the rest of the season, which is a bummer. I'm not sure Butler is a tournament team without him. I really thought they had a chance with him, but we'll see what happens. But a bummer to not have him the rest of the way.
Yeah, that's a stinger there. Particularly this Butler had a tournament team under Laval, the COVID year. They didn't make it. Butler fans have not seen their team play in the NCAA tournament since 2018, and now you lose him. You're 8-2 overall. Only other thing I have for you, GP, and then we can wrap if you want. I just want to acknowledge Oklahoma beat Oklahoma State. The Cowboys are knocked from the ranks of the unbeaten. Pretty damn entertaining game. Xavier Brown and Nigel Pack combined for 39. OSU had its chances, but credit to Porter Moser's group. They got it done. They pulled away. And I thought it's actually a really important win, not just for rivalry's sake, but Oklahoma trying to build up an at-large resume. I actually think that win's got some real value there. So I think those are the most notable results of the weekend. You got anything else?
No, let's just wrap this up. Look ahead, and there ain't much to look ahead to over the next couple of days. So we'll be real quick with this, I hope. I always wonder, like when we start saying this, it's like, all right, we're wrapping up, and then somebody looks down if they're watching this later, and they're like, they still got 19 minutes left.
Let's prove them wrong this time.
Let's prove them wrong this right. On Monday, 0 ranked teams are playing. Good opportunity to catch up on season 2 of Landman, streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus. On Tuesday, I'm going to be in studio, CBS Sports Network, with Brent Stover, Steve Lapis, and Roy Hibbert. We got Florida State at Dayton at 7 p.m. Eastern. Elsewhere, Louisville at Tennessee is a ranked versus ranked matchup. DePaul at St. John's is a Big East opener for both. Butler at UConn, South Carolina at Clemson inside Little John. And then we'll be back on Wednesday morning to talk about whatever we need to talk about.
Indeed, we will. Hope everyone enjoyed this. Apparently, we had some good viewership on the live show here. And we did run a poll at the start of the show. Who's the better team? That was the question. And you had 2 options, Arizona or Michigan. And our live audience, 69% said Arizona. More than 2-1 return on Arizona over Michigan right now. I'm just love the fact that we've got both of them being incredible and many others sitting at the table with them right now. And as things stand with the way the schedules have been laid out, like this should be the state of the game, the state of the sport at the top of it. I would think as we play out over the next 2 to 3 weeks at minimum.
All right, let's get out of here. Shouts to Devin Downey. Shouts to Chester, South Carolina. Terry Teagle's a legend. Huck, Larnell, thank you guys once again for watching and listening to the Eye on College Basketball Podcast. If you're not subscribed, please go subscribe anywhere you subscribe to podcasts. Apple, Spotify. There's more of us than there are of them. That should be reflected in the comments. So do that. And we're going to talk to you again on Wednesday morning. Till then, take care.